Did they go?
Your worship, we've been delayed because of technology, but we're up now.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Well, we're gonna get Councilor Emerson involved right now.
We did. So.
Good evening and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for the Municipality of Bayham. It is Thursday, August the 20th, 2026, 6:46, and I will call this meeting to order. I'll remind members of all of disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none noted. Next up is the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting held July the 16th, 2026. If there are no errors or omissions, I would accept a motion and seconder from someone that the minutes from the Committee of Adjustment meeting held July the 16th, 2026 be approved as presented. Committee member Emerson. Committee member Chilcott will second. All in favor? That's carried. This evening, we're dealing with a minor variance application, COA 1326 from Legend Rubber at 56957 Talbot Line. The purpose of this variance is to request relief from section 21.10.12.1 of the zoning bylaw to increase the maximum permitted gross floor area from 8,450 square meters to 8,980 square meters to facilitate the construction of a building addition to provide additional warehouse and storage space on the property known municipally as 56957 Talbot Line. The additional floor area is intended to support the ongoing operations of the existing business, which has reached capacity at its current facilities due to increased demand for its products and services. Relief is requested as follows. Section 21.10.12.1 to permit a maximum gross floor area of 8,980 square meters, whereas 8,450 square meters is the maximum permitted. The effect of this variance is to permit the construction of the proposed building addition on the property known as 56957 Talbot Line, providing additional warehouse and storage space in connection with the existing business use on the property. Do you wish me to carry on with the rest of the explanation, or we can wait for item B? Aaron, welcome.
Hi. Through Mr. Chair to the committee. So Bayham has completed a review of the minor variance application COA 1326 submitted by Ross Graham for the subject lands located at 56957 Talbot Line. As you stated, the application is requested to facilitate the construction of a building addition for a proposed warehouse and storage space on the property in support of ongoing business operations. And relief is requested from section 21.10.12.1 to permit a maximum GFA of 8,980 square meters, whereas 8,450 square meters is permitted. These subject lands are designated agricultural and natural heritage in the Bayham official plan and are zoned rural industrial subzones 12 in the zoning bylaw. The natural heritage designation applies to a portion of the subject lands, but the proposed building addition is not within that area and it does not encroach upon it. The subject lands are occupied by an existing industrial building associated with Legend Rubber, and the application proposes to construct the building addition to provide additional warehouse and storage space in support of ongoing operations. The existing building has a GFA of approximately 7,791 square meters. The proposed addition of approximately 1,189 square meters would bring the total GFA to approximately 8,980 square meters, exceeding the maximum permitted GFA of 8,450 square meters. The surrounding area is characterized by agricultural uses zoned A1 to the northeast and south, and residential use zoned rural residential to the west. No written submissions or comments have been received, and the application was circulated to the LPRCA, and they had no concerns. So therefore, subject to any questions from the committee or the public, staff is in a position to state that the application is in keeping with the general intent of the official plan, is in keeping with the general intent of the zoning bylaw, is desirable and will not result in is desirable and will result in the appropriate development of the area, and is minor in nature, not causing any adverse impacts. Staff recommend approval.
All right, thank you very much for that, Aaron. Going down through the agenda, I assume the agent is or the applicant is not present online, or okay, thank you. And you've noticed or already mentioned there are no public submissions?
No.
All right. open it up to the committee for questions and discussion. Any questions? Committee Member Weiser.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. No question, just a comment, if I may. These are the applications that we like to see. And it's very encouraging that, yeah, they're in this position. So this is a good news story, in my opinion.
For those comments. Anyone else? Okay. We'll move on then to the decision of the committee. I have a proposed motion, see if anyone's interested. That the Committee of Adjustment Secretary Treasurer's Report DS 2826 regarding the Legend Rubber minor variance be received. And that the Committee of Adjustment considered all written and oral submissions received on this application, the effect which helped the committee to make an informed decision. And whereas the committee agrees that the proposed variance as presented meets section 45(1)(1) of the Planning Act and is considered minor. Therefore, application COA 1326 submitted by Ross Graham pursuant to section 45 of the Planning Act to increase the maximum permitted gross floor area from 8,450 square meters to 8,980 square meters to facilitate the construction of a building addition to provide additional warehouse and storage space on the property known municipally as 56957 Talbot Line, be granted relief as follows. Section 21.10.12.1 to permit a maximum gross floor area of not 8,980 square meters, whereas 8,450 square meters is the maximum permitted. Do we have anyone moving? Committee Member Chilcott and Committee Member Weiser will second. All in favor? That is carried. Okay, before I read the adjournment motion, I will go slip back to item B, which was originally on the agenda, is a notice of withdrawal. Minor variance application COA 1226 at 129 Bay Street. And the notation reads that be advised that the minor variance application COA 1226, Mary Beth Stevenson at 129 Bay Street, for which public notice was previously circulated, has been withdrawn by the applicant. So the application will not be dealt with this evening. Brings us to the adjournment. That the Committee of Adjustment meeting for consideration of minor variance application COA 1326 be adjourned at 6:54 p.m. And that in accordance with the regulations of the Planning Act, notices of decision be circulated by the Secretary Treasurer accordingly. May I have a mover and a seconder? Committee Member Weiser, Committee Member Chilcott, all in favor? That is carried. We are adjourned.
For members of the public viewing the stream, I'm going to turn off the video, but it will come right back onto the stream at 7 p.m.
Yeah, I do too, please.
Live audio, your
Okay,
worship.
we're here. Let me get this up. We're up. All right. So when are we ready?
Right now, your worship.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of council for the Municipality of Bayham for Thursday, August the 20th, 2026. It is 7:01 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. I will remind members of any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none, I will then ask if there are any items for the agenda that are not listed, and I don't believe there are. And quickly going through the announcements, I would like to announce that yes, Councillor Prose is not present with notice. So we also, it's that time of year again with various Decoration Day events across the community. Just to keep people in mind that on the fourth Sunday in August is the Bayham West, the Richmond, Best, Light, and Guysborough Cemetery Decoration Days. And also one that's not within the municipal family, but St. Luke's is also on the fourth Sunday. And then on the first Sunday in September will be the Eden Cemetery. So if you're able and wish to participate in those Decoration Day events, please do. First up, we will deal with delegations, and we have the OPP Elgin County Detachment, the 2025 Detachment Annual Board Report. And of course, Jeff, please introduce yourself and welcome to the podium. Yes, and be mindful of the microphone. It's not great, but that was me. Just speak into it, please, so they
Okay.
can hear you at home.
Perfect. Sound already? Excellent. Good. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. My name is Jeff McNorgan. I'm the interim detachment commander in Elgin County. It's somewhat of a homecoming for me in terms. I started my career in Elgin in 2008. And so I've worked here for 14 years, very familiar with the area, and worked in Bayham and Malahide many, many years as well. So very familiar with the area and happy to be back for a bit. So I am pleased to present the Elgin County Detachment 2025 Detachment Board Annual Report. The 2025 report demonstrates that the Elgin County OPP remained focused on community safety, traffic enforcement, victim support, and community well-being while completing the final year of our 2023 to 2025 action plan. Overall, the detachment experienced a reduction in property crime, maintained strong crime clearance rates for violent offenses, strengthened victim services and mental health partnerships, and continued significant traffic enforcement efforts designed to reduce serious collisions and improve public safety. So I am proud of the work that was undertaken by the detachment in 2025. Violent crime increased slightly in 2025, underscoring the importance of continued proactive enforcement, strong investigations, and victim-centered policing. Our members remain focused on investigative excellence, offender accountability, and timely victim support. Victim referrals and acceptance rates increased in 2025, reflecting our continued efforts to connect victims with available services and supports. Property crime continued to decline in 2025. Significant reductions were seen in break-and-enters, theft over $5,000, and fraud occurrences. Focus patrols, crime analysis, enforcement by frontline officers, and support from specialized units continue to assist in prevention, deterrence, and investigative excellence of property-related offenses across Elgin County. We maintained our commitment to traffic safety in 2025 and continue to prioritize enforcement related to speeding, distracted driving, impaired driving, seatbelt compliance, and other high-risk driving behaviors. Traffic enforcement remained our priority throughout the year and will continue to drive our daily work. Fatal roadway incidents and persons killed remained the same in 2025. However, there were encouraging trends. No fatal collisions were attributed to alcohol or drug impairment, no fatal collisions were speed-related, and no marine fatalities or off-road vehicle fatalities. These results suggest traffic enforcement and education efforts continue to positively influence road safety outcomes although speeding and inattentive driving remain ongoing concerns. Based on concerns from community members and local traffic and crime trends, we continue to provide proactive patrols and high visibility policing throughout Elgin County. Community patrols remained an important part of our approach to reassurance, engagement, and deterrence in the communities we serve. We continue to strengthen our operational effectiveness through the use of technology. Elgin County is now utilizing body-worn cameras, in-car camera systems, and automated license plate recognition vehicles to support the collection of evidence, increase transparency, and enhance both public and officer safety. We work closely with our local municipal partners to help ensure public safety within our communities. This collaboration remains especially important and is demonstrated through joint initiatives such as ride programs in adjoining jurisdictions. Elgin County OPP remained committed to enforcement and education on our roadways and local waterways. I mentioned earlier there were no marine or off-road vehicle fatalities in 2025. This reinforces the importance of continued marine enforcement, boater education, and strong partnerships with agencies responsible for safety on the water and trails. We continued to support community well-being through partnerships and coordinated responses to individuals in crisis. We implemented a more robust mobile crisis response team, or MCERT, schedule with longer hours of coverage and increased capacity with our partner policing agencies. Our members remained committed to working with health and community service partners in support of de-escalation, referrals, and appropriate response to mental health-related calls for service. We continue to engage with community groups and organizations across Elgin County to build relationships and promote community safety and well-being. These efforts included outreach, education, and attendance at community events while continuing to support positive relationships with diverse communities, youths, and seniors. These initiatives support public confidence, crime prevention, and relationship building throughout Elgin County. We supported the ongoing development of our members through training, operational learning, and continued professional development to ensure our detachment remains prepared to respond to evolving community needs and policing demands. The 2026-2029 Elgin County Detachment Action Plan has been released. This is the first action plan developed under the Community Safety and Policing Act. We work closely with our Elgin OPP Detachment Board and engage with community members to ensure the needs of our communities were reflected in the commitments we made for the next 4 years. Development of the 2026 to 2029 Elgin County Detachment Action Plan coincided with the creation of the 2026 to 2029 OPP Strategic Plan, creating organizational alignment. As we look ahead to emerging challenges and new opportunities in policing and community safety, our detachment members remain committed to our mission to serve our communities, protect our citizens, uphold the law, and preserve public safety. I thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to present our 2025 Detachment Board Annual Report, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you for the update, Inspector. Certainly appreciate it. I'm going to open the floor to council members if anyone has any questions. Councillor Chilcott.
Thank you. I have a couple. You mentioned that there were no alcohol-related deaths or fatalities and no speed-related deaths or fatalities. But how many alcohol-related accidents and speed-related accidents were there? Like, just because somebody doesn't die doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? So I'm just curious as to how big of a problem it still is.
Yeah, thanks for the question. That's fair. The analytics that we capture are strictly related to the fatals in that regard. I would have to look into a deeper dive to see how many of our actual collisions, whether property damage or personal injury, were related to alcohol or drug impairment.
Okay, because it's all expensive as well. Even if somebody's not hurt, you have to go out, somebody has to go out, and it's all a cost on the municipality and everyone else, so.
Yes.
And also speed. How do you control, like, do you have any ideas on how we control it? We have a major issue in Bayham with people going up and down the Plank Road and they're just flying, like it's 140 and a 40, like it's ridiculous. So how do we what can we work to try and keep that lower?
Absolutely, and thank you for that question as well. As I mentioned in the report, speeding is an ongoing concern and always has been. The $1 million question of how we can completely get rid of it, I wish I knew the answer. We are committed to our traffic enforcement, to responding to community needs, that being if we receive complaints of a certain roadway where their speed is an issue, time, dates during the week, times during those days, we can certainly conduct focus patrols as part of the education enforcement from a police perspective. As I'm sure we all know, speeding and traffic safety is a community issue. So we look to work with our partners, whether it's with roads or any other designs that we can implement to slow down traffic. But certainly our commitment is to be present in the communities as much as we can. And certainly we will conduct focus patrols in areas of specific need.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Counselor Emerson.
To you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, do you think those flashy speed lights coming, are they effective at reducing the amount of speeding? You know, when you come into town, do you think that's a wise investment, or do you think that's doesn't do anything?
Thanks for the question and comment. I would be remiss if I said it isn't helpful. I think everything we can do, again, as I mentioned earlier, as a community to address speeding and high risk behaviors on our roadways is effective. I would suggest, and from what I've heard, sometimes even just anecdotally, that those speed signs certainly do draw attention to your own speed, and for the time being, it may slow you down. Yes, so I wouldn't go as far as to say it would be a waste of money. Again, in my mind, anything that that helps us or helps the community make the roadway safer, I'm all for.
Supplementary then, Mr. Mayor, through you. Is there any research that the OPP or any other regulatory body has done that with the installation of the sign, the effectiveness or reduce fines in that area? Like just empirically or anecdotally?
Not that I am aware of in terms of anything that's captured. I will say again, if we are the ones that are doing a focus patrol, we will capture the results of how many speeding tickets we wrote during that period. That's something that we can share again with our community partners to help determine if those speed signs should be placed in a certain area. And then in terms of reducing the speed, sometimes equipment like that reduces it for the time being when it's up. If it can be left up permanently, that's even better. But anecdotally or anything captured in terms of data, I'm unaware of, or at least nothing's been shared with me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Inspector. I certainly appreciate the analytics that you have provided. They are eye-opening. As indicated, yes, speeding is the predominant number of charges or offenses out there. I assume it's probably the same across the county. We're not unique, but unfortunately it's in our community as well. So I really appreciate that. Regarding your mental crisis response teams, so there are actually trained personnel that go out with the officers, and you indicated within the report that you've got increased hours on. Good thing, because you can notice that we do have more crisis out there. Maybe it's a post-pandemic event or something. I'm not sure. And I also read within the report, and it's hinted at, but I assume that the detachment is still very much involved with the community safety and well-being integration table, and certainly appreciated that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that.
Excellent.
If there are no, almost got away with it. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Just thank you very much for the report. It was very informative. I'm curious as to whether there is a breakdown anywhere that we could view that's specific to Bayham as opposed to just high level Elgin County.
I can certainly look into getting some information for you. Is there anything specific now that I can maybe help with?
Well, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just more so looking at the chart as to the stats, and I'm curious to know where Bayham fits in that, in that umbrella. But I'm not sure. In the past, I think we have seen a little more detail with Bayham specifically, with the number of calls versus what you're coming out to the municipality to address, whether that's speeding or accidents, anything like that. So I was curious if there was somewhere that data could be accessed.
Yeah, and thank you for that question and comment. You're right, in the past, it was broken down a little more specifically. Now it's a broader report. I can certainly look into getting some details for you specific to Bayham.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm just thinking back, and it seems to me that when we see the annual billing that comes through, we do have some breakdown within the finance. Of course, the treasurer's on some Disney cruise or something. Well, we can't ask him tonight, but we will when he gets back. But thank you again, Inspector. Is there anything else? Okay. I have a motion that reads that the 2025 Detachment Board Annual Report be received for information. Can I have a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor Weisler? Councillor Emerson, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all once again.
Next up, we have a presentation from Doug Park of the Better Bayham Business Association regarding the scheduled Port Burwell Bridge lane closure. Doug, please.
Hello. Thank you, Mayor. Doug Park from Vienna.
Doug, I would just encourage you, please, it's a fairly
Speak into the microphone.
non-sensitive mic, but they'd like to hear you at home too.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and staff. I'm here to speak on behalf of the BBBA, the Better Bayham Business Association, that I'm the chair and I spearheaded, and we've started up. We're into about our 8th meeting. We're a group of like-minded business owners and community groups and non-for-profit groups within Bayham. We encompass all of Bayham, north, south, east, and west, and we're growing. We are a non-political group, and we are networking and helping out each other already. So that's happening. Our mission statement: positive people doing positive things to move forward in a positive direction in our municipality. We even recently adopted bylaws, operational procedures, and, believe it or not, a mental health statement within our group, which I find is pretty important more recently. Why am I standing here? Councillor Emerson and Rob Flack, our MPP, in one of our meetings suggested that once we're formed, our association is formed, we could go on agenda to both Bayham Council and Elgin County, which we will be doing tonight, and September 8th in St. Thomas, to try to keep one lane of the Port Burwell Bridge open to the public during reconstruction of the bridge in 2028. I'm told that it could take 10 to 12 months. Our businesses in Bayham, restaurants, marinas, provincial park, farmers, fire department, EMS, police, regular traffic, walking traffic, from what I'm experiencing is that nobody was aware of this work. So most businesses didn't know this was going on. I talked with the provincial park superintendent and she had no clue. Rob Flack had no idea. They all depend on this bridge daily. Why is this important? To close the bridge for up to 10 to 12 months during tourist season is definitely going to affect businesses, downtown Port Burwell. A few of them are here tonight. They've spoken up about it. There's some stressing factors with the fact if you're closing off the bridge. Safety issue, our fire department and EMS and OPP need to cross here to get to any emergency when needed in an adequate time. So if you're closing down that bridge, you're talking about a big ring around through Vienna. You get increased traffic through Vienna, and if with a long bypass, there are no sidewalks for kids, bicycles, horses, dogs, cats, farm equipment. And we were just talking about this just recently, the speed through Vienna, could be an issue. Okay. I've spoken with the county engineer about the bridge, and here are a few things that we chatted about. The bridge needs more work than was first predicted, over cost, over budget. It's possibly could cost more money to keep one lane open. There's gonna be public meetings about the construction, which I've been told about. I've sent emails back and forth with you, Mayor, and Steve. I believe that a set of temporary traffic signals that I suggested with a fire preemption system that I'm familiar with when I worked for London Hydro could be beneficial to the fire department. Possibly if we had like temporary traffic signals to cross the bridge. I'm told that the water line is currently inadequate, and that may be as well, could possibly be updated. The engineer is telling me that they may not be able to rebuild having one lane open. I believe that we can work with Elgin County to try not to affect day-to-day operation of this bridge. The water line's 60 years old, the sub is 60 years old, I am 60 years old. We all need maintenance once in a while. And as Tim had said to me and Rob Flack, I'm just bringing this forward for consideration to try to keep one lane open of the bridge, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Doug, for bringing that forward. From what I can tell you is that you're right. There will be some public information picks, they call them, coming up. I asked the engineer a month or so ago when they were scheduled. They aren't yet, but they will be. The engineering is ongoing at this point. There has been an engineer identified. They will be working through the scenarios and trying to determine if they can keep a lane open. There's quite a lot of invasive work that has to be done. A lot of those stringers underneath have to be replaced. So when they open up the bridge, it's going to be quite a drop.
Yeah.
But there is, as you recall now, a bicycle lane down the one side of it, both sides actually. So it might be possible. So the information's coming, but I certainly appreciate the concerns you expressed. Yes, it's a 9-kilometer detour. Yes, it puts emergency services at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yes.
We really don't have an opportunity to store emergency vehicles on the other side of the river. We haven't got a facility. So there are challenges to be overcome. So we're aware of it. Public Works is aware of it here. And I'm pretty sure that Mr. Duchek up at the county is aware of it. But thank you very much for bringing this forward and putting it on the record.
All right.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Park? Thank you. Again, thank you very much.
Okay.
I have a motion. I don't, but we're going to. Would have a motion that the presentation from Doug Park of the Better Bayham Business Association regarding the scheduled Port Burwell Bridge lane closure be received for information. Moved by Deputy Mayor Wyford and seconded by Councillor Chilcott. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you again. Moving forth, we have adoption of the minutes of the previous meetings, which include the regular meeting of council held July the 16th, 2026, and the special meeting of council held July the 30th, 2026. Has everyone had opportunity to peruse those minutes? And if there are no errors or omissions, I would look for a mover and seconder for the following. That the minutes from the regular meeting of council held July the 16th, 2026 be approved as presented, and that the minutes from the special meeting of council held July the 30th, 2026 be approved as presented. Mover, Deputy Mayor Weisler, Councillor Emerson, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Which moves us now down to, we have 2 minutes.
Your worship, I recommend.
I think we'll just take a brief
Mhm.
pause. We have a public meeting coming up at 7:30. So we'll just take a brief pause, be about 3-4 minutes out. Okay.
Now.
Good evening and welcome to the statutory planning meeting for Thursday, August the 20th, 2026, 7:30 PM. And I will call this meeting to order. I remind members of council of any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Seeing none. This evening, we're dealing with a proposed zoning bylaw amendment, ZBA 2425, CHR Farms, Inc. at 55705 Heritage Line. The The purpose of this bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject property from agricultural A1 zone to site-specific agricultural A1 XX zone, to permit the approved supplementary farm dwelling existing on the property be converted to an additional residential unit with additional site specifics to recognize the existing deficiencies, which requires relief from the provisions. Section 5.12, yet to be determined, XX, to permit a maximum lot area of 18.8 hectares where a minimum lot area of 20.0 hectares is required under section 5.3. Section 5.12 XX to permit an ARU located 110 meters from the primary dwelling, whereas a maximum distance from the primary dwelling is 40 meters is required under section 4.59F. Section 5.12 XX to permit an ARU located closer to the front lot line than the minimum distance required for a primary dwelling of 15 meters, where this is not permitted under section 4.2B. Section 5.12.XX to permit an ARU located within the front yard, where this is not permitted under section 4.2C. Section 5.12.XX to permit an ARU located closer to the street than the primary dwelling, where this is not permitted under section 4.2C. The effect of this bylaw is to permit an existing supplementary farm dwelling to be converted to an additional residential unit and to legalize existing conditions of the lot and the relative locations of the existing primary dwelling and the existing building proposed to be converted to an ARU. At this point, I will call for any public participation. Anyone interested in having any comments with respect to this application, please attend the podium and sign in. Please come up and sign in at the podium. I assume the sign-in sheets are there, Aaron. And then have your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Where do I sign in? Oh, right here?
Yeah.
This is my first time here, so
Well, welcome.
you'll have to be patient.
Okay,
Okay.
just please introduce yourself to council and have your comments.
Okay. My name is Dan Sargent. I reside at the farm just east of this CHR Farms Incorporate. I live at 55791 Heritage Line.
Mhm.
And I've lived there for over 40 years. When the Taylor Farm was purchased, CH Farms immediately applied for variance to build a new house there, which was fine. They called somebody in to do a survey, and the surveyors showed me the survey stakes, and the one by the road was on the west side of the paved driveway, which meant the entire driveway was on my property. At the time, there was a second driveway access for that farm on the west side, which is the Mitchell Road side of the existing dwelling. I introduced myself to the Neil Reimer and explained to him I was his neighbor. I wanted to be neighborly and introduce myself. And if he needed any information at all, just call or stop by. He was aware that the driveway was not his. I never heard from him for any reasons. They continued to use my driveway, and even when they built their house, the big trucks and machinery used this driveway and chewed it up and caused erosion. It was around the same time that the survey stake by the driveway disappeared. I never heard from them again for 2 years until 2 months ago, when they stopped by and they said that I had to help them out and sign the easement agreement on the driveway. And I thought, this is sort of funny. And I was suspicious. I said, well, let me think about it for a day and I'll get back to you. So when I got back to them, I said, no, that I didn't feel comfortable with it. Okay, and Neil then asked if it was okay for him to cut the grass over there. Why that would matter, I don't know. And he was also around the property by his new house. So obviously some of the land there was mine and he just wanted to keep it clean. Next, I noticed they had planted trees around the lot for the new house. They were just trying to beautify it and make it look good. But they continued on a little far with them and they added 5 extra trees onto my property. About a month ago, I was cutting the grass over by the driveway by the new trees, and Mrs. Reimer came flying up in her car and jumped out and asked why I was cutting the grass again. I said it was my property and the grass needed cutting. She said they had planted those trees, but I informed her that they were planted on my property and tried to explain to her where the survey stake had been, that the driveway was mine, and they had violated it basically and planted trees on my property. She said that her husband and her had discussed it, and they thought the best thing would be for me to get my own entry or my own survey. I told her that I had lived there for 40 years and that was totally ridiculous. I thought that I would get a survey on my own property. From her actions and wordings, it was obvious that they did not like their own survey or the location of the survey stakes. Why did they move? And my question to her was, why did they remove their only driveway to their property and continue to use mine? And to this day, they're still doing the same thing. They have no access to their 2 buildings there, their new house or the house that they're trying to get variance on. And so anyways, in conclusion, I feel that they should put in their own access driveway and stop using mine, or I will be forced to put a deed in. Removal of the trees they planted on my property. I also noticed that there was a garage beside the house that was there for the longest time. It was there for about a year, and just this week it got tore down. Don't know why. I don't know if it was in violation of something that shouldn't have been there. I know it was right on top of where the survey stake was. The surveyors had showed me. So that's my comments. That's my feelings on the subject. Thank you for your time. Is there anything else? Any questions?
Well, I am curious. I am familiar with the property. The Taylors were family friends and I've been on that farm a fair amount. I had no idea that there were some dispute with respect to anything like that. The garage you're referring to, is that the one that was on the new house or on the old?
On the old house.
The old one,
They
okay.
built a garage on the side of it, probably not quite a year ago.
Right,
And then just this week they tore it down.
okay.
I don't know if it had anything to do with this meeting.
Not that I'm aware
Can't
of, but
speculate on it. I lived there for quite a few years and I knew Mr. Taylor quite well too.
Yep.
He was a great guy and we got on great. Never had a problem. So
Yep.
anyways,
thank you for your comments.
okay. Thank you very much.
Does anyone else from the public wish to speak? Jesse, come up and please sign in.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Jesse Froese. I'm the agent representing CHR Farms on behalf of this zoning bylaw amendment. So just to kind of recap, there has always been a house on this property. It's currently a supplementary farm dwelling, which means that people can live in there for 6 months during the harvest season. That is, and if we already have an agreement together with Bayham, we did that 2 years ago when they purchased the property. So you can look back at that if you would like. What CHR is hoping, so their current people that live in there for 6 months always have to find a house to rent for the other 6 months. So because that house exists, it's in great shape. They're hoping that the people could stay for the whole year. Thus, we're proposing to change the zoning to allow for an additional residential unit, okay? So that's all we're doing. The house is already there. We're just hoping that those people could live there for the whole year because the house is already there. In regards to the comments before, I don't know anything about trees or grass or anything. I do know that a small sliver of the driveway, which the driveway only accesses their property, but a small sliver of the access point off of this Highway 38 here does encroach the neighbor's property. And I haven't talked with CHR Farms, but I'm assuming that they moved that garage to put in a new driveway, which was their intention because they didn't want to upset anybody with this proposal. But it's a fairly straightforward zoning bylaw amendment for an ARU for a building that already exists. It would be a great use of the building. It's not going to create any additional traffic. It shouldn't cause any problems. We've done all the studies on it. We've done the surveys. We've been in touch with Southwest Public Health, and the building in every way meets the standards of an ARU. So hopefully there's no problems with that. But if you guys do have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Anyone else from the public? Okay. I would assume that the planning report that would be coming forward would not only record these remarks, but would also identify the municipality's responsibility regarding a potential property dispute, which I believe we have none. It would be more of a civil case, but still it might identify that there's an encroachment issue. I assume. I do not know. I'm sorry.
Your worship, yes, you're correct. The report will address that, and we have had conversations with Jesse, and we are aware that a part of the driveway is on the neighbor's property. So that's something that they have to address for that approval.
Thank you
And
for
they have
that.
agreed to do that.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's move on then to, there has been no correspondence, Aaron, or other business with this file. So let's move on with the adjournment that the zoning bylaw be considered at a future meeting of council, and that pursuant to Planning Act requirements, the planning meeting for zoning application ZBA 24/25 is now complete at 7:43 p.m. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Chilcott will move. Councillor Emerson will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll take a brief interlude until we can get back to our regular agenda.
Your worship, may I address the live stream?
Please.
Okay, thank you, your worship. I am noticing some bitrate issues with the broadcast. So it will be reviewed tomorrow. And if the recording is insufficient, we will use our backup recording and upload it to YouTube.
All right, thank you. Now let's move on with section 11, physical services and emergency services. Section 11.2, reports to council. Item A, BL 0326 by Mark Russell regarding the 2026 bylaw enforcement services mid-year report. You have your hand up, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, your worship. There's a conflict in which the presentation is currently going on in Malahide for the officer. I suggest we move on to the next item. Please.
All right, we will do that then. Let's go on with item B. PS 1126 by Steve Adams, Manager of Public Works, Drainage Superintendent regarding tender award RFT 2602, the Eden Pump Station of Upgrades Award. There he is. Good evening, Steve.
Thank you, your worship. Good evening, members of council, your worship. Yes, I'm bringing this award forward for RFT 2602 for the Eden Sanitary Pump Station expansion. With this, the background of this pump station was brought forward in the 2022 Sanitary Pump Station Capacity Study, which was presented by Pete Penner of CJDL Consultant on December 1st, 2022. The study identified the Eden Pump Station would require additional capacity to accommodate any additional growth within the service area of Eden. Since this time, staff has been working with CJDL to determine the best practical, cost-effective way of increasing the capacity of the station to allow for increased development since 2022. As you know, since that report came out, there has been many different applications come forward, and I know council's been working through them as well. But since then, with that, the scope for this RFP included a roadway, a new laneway into that building, construct the pipeline connection fittings, and 114,000 liter holding tank. So that's a tank for raw sewage. This would be installed, the tank would be installed for higher inflows on peak times. As you may recall, we have lots of infiltration into the Eden area with water in that, so it's noticeable during high storms. So this tank is really just an overflow. It will help. And technically, as the capacity downstream can handle it, the pumps will pump during off-peak times. So this is just to hold a large amount of additional raw sewage. Part of this project, staff also wanted to consider, and the engineers brought forward some vibratory monitoring stuff, just because the tank is large and there's neighboring houses. So staff have and engineers have implemented some monitoring systems that will be in place during construction. Also identified that I wanted to make sure was included was odor control. Obviously, it's a big tank, it's a storage. The potential for, it's a residential area with a large capacity. So there are some mitigation tickets in place. We're hoping that, with this tank added, it won't be, technically the residents in the area won't have any indication that it's there. So moving on to the tender document. So yes, the tender was prepared by the consulting engineer CJDL. It was issued July 21st on Bid and Go, and also the municipal website. The tender with only one submission received by Froze Excavating. We did have 34 plan takers on the Bid and Go. So overall, we're not sure. We didn't get a lot of questions. Otherwise, we thought the tender was written really well. Why and what reason, the scope of the project, perhaps. So we only received the one proposal. Based on the review, the engineers did recommend the municipality would award to Froze Excavating for $347,592, excluding HST. The project currently is scheduled to run between September 8th with completion November 13th. And the contractor agreed to that date. The project was originally budgeted in 2024 for $250,000 and was moved to 2025 as the engineers started the project. Unfortunately, it wasn't myself as the other manager and the consultant. They started looking into flows. Obviously, the whole program depends on flows of the time, flows in the future. So moving forward with that, the scope really took us into, or the project took us into this year, where I picked up and wanted to get this out for tender. So that the increase from 347,000, from the 250 to the 347,000 actually wasn't the full cost with the engineer costs on top of it. So with the new tendered price, engineering, and the non-recoverable HST, the project total would be $432,280. With this, the tender also contains $136,000 in provisionary items. These items may or may not be used in the project. It's pending the water table, pending, we have done studies. This is the reason why we picked this time, because the water levels are the lowest. And we're hoping that, a large part of that was the stone under the pipe, potential well, if we have issues with the well. So there's some big ticket items that were included as a provisionary items with this. Also to date, close to $40,000 was paid through the wastewater reserves for the municipal engineering. So there's still about $35,000 left for that. That'd be for the tendering and the inspection and work up to date. So with the completion of the pump station, we're expected to gain about 130 on average new connections. These connections, which range as low as 93 up to 163. Within the report, I utilized 130. That was the number at the time. However, again, based on flows, annual flows, that could change. With this, the proposed development projects we currently have would utilize 75 of these lots, which would have a 1588 unit remaining for capacity, future capacity. So as you know, the Eden East, Eden West, and a small other development, Eden East, is actually on top of this capacity. It's already been considered. However, Eden West and the 14, I don't know the address off my hand, but the small development that was put forward, yeah, was in that additional 36 lots as well. So there is going to be some capacity extra on top of this. However, as this goes, the monitoring and the flow will have to be very closely watched. So with that, the additional capacity on the existing municipal asset is future growth related, and therefore any overage on the project could be utilized through the development charges that would account for the project. If there's any questions, I'm happy to help.
All right, thank you very much, Steve, for that presentation. Just to clarify again, your last statement, overages on the project come from DCs, or will the project be fully funded from the development charge?
That wasn't really stated in the thing. So technically, we have 250,000 that was allocated in 2025 when they started the project out of the reserve funding. The municipal wastewater reserve has funding that would cover this. The development charges, wastewater development charges, has money to fund this. Unfortunately, I can't speak for the treasurer. The treasurer has indicated that this project could be utilized through development charges, as this is a growth related project. So we do have we don't know the exact number right now. However, we do have potential overages on the project, which could be utilized.
So did you want to make a comment on that, or are you okay? Or I think it's live all the time.
Oh, okay. Thanks through the mayor to council. It's my understanding that we do have sufficient funds. So the 250,000 was part of the 2024 capital budget. And then of course that amount gets carried forward if it's not spent. And the overage that we've talked about can be covered by development charges, and there is enough money in the development charges budget or reserve fund.
Thank you for that. Any questions from members of council? Of course. I would hope so. Councillor Chilcott.
Thank you. Steve, it's just I don't know, maybe a strange question, but the 250,000 that was budgeted, did that include the engineering? And so the total that for the whole project was 250, not just the 10.
Right. If you recall, in 2023, council approved the engineering for the project out of wastewater reserve. This was prior to the project when in 2024, it wasn't, and I should have, I caught that. There were grant opportunities. And if you recall, reports from the CAO were brought forward for the grant opportunities twice. We had 2 funding rounds. And at that point, the 250 was allocated after some of the pre-engineer was done. So no, the 250 did not include the engineering.
Right.
But the engineering was already paid for.
But the engineering was already paid for. So
So
well, part of it, not all of it.
So
Currently we're at 41,000 out of 72,000.
So we still owe another 30 something.
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm just looking at it because basically 250,000, if you take off the, I forget what they called it. I'll call it contingency.
Yeah, the provisionary items.
That brings it up to $210,000.
Yeah.
Right. So if they don't spend all that, then
that's
we're
correct.
right on target.
Yes, that's correct. And, the early budget price for this you know, the vibratory equipment, the monitoring, the odor control, that wasn't even included in this. Some of that was staff recommendations as well. So there is some added items on top of that. And this is what's hard when these grant funding opportunities come forward. We try to get a price out there and unfortunately they're not accurate. However, yes, with any luck, staff and the engineers have both identified multiple things on that provision item that we don't foresee using. So,
Perfect.
and I'd be happy to bring that, you know, final, I guess it'd come in the final price the end of the year as well.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Okay. Councilor Emerson.
Just a general question, because you were talking about infiltration. Is there any mitigation strategies or like storm drains and stormwater holding ponds that would reduce the amount of infiltration issues with the Eden?
Well, through your worship, so the wastewater supervisor or wastewater supervisor now, he's actually looking in, he wants to bring forward, you know, potential options for mitigation. It is seen all over the place. A lot of the problem, and it's not just Eden, it is Port Burwell, it is Vienna, is enforcing it past, we could put forward a funding for it, but it's the enforcement on year 2 or 3. And this would be in-house connections. That's where most of this infiltration is coming from, are sump pumps connected to the wastewater sanitary connections. Unfortunately, it's a very hard thing to regulate. We've talked to a couple municipalities in the last couple months about this. And, you know, we can come up with a program to try to mitigate as much as we can. However, they're seeing right now between like the 2 other centers we talked to are like 15 to 35% since they put it in, only because people are going back to changing it back. However, I think it is something, you know, it may be worthwhile, you know, to at least see the cost of
My understanding. Do you want me to do it? Go ahead.
Thanks. Through the mayor to council, I just want to state the treasurer has confirmed that the project will all be funded by development charges.
Well, there you go.
Great.
Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. No chastising for paying attention when you should be on vacation.
Right?
Watching that Disney movie.
Yes. Okay. Did that answer your question, Councilor Emerson?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I was just thinking new developments and stormwater ponds and a
Yep.
tile
Yes,
to take the roof water to the stormwater pond instead of
through your
making
worship,
people,
you're absolutely correct. And I didn't touch on that part of it.
No.
The new developments will all have a PDC as well. So they will have a private drain connection from the property that will go into the storm. And we all sat through the municipal drain meeting that will then take the water downstream. So the new development's gonna, you know, we're really looking forward to having these connections, you know. They're paid for through the municipal drain. So.
what I wanted to hear.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I've had that conversation with the director of legal of whether we can make PDCs mandatory. So we'll find out. Stay tuned.
Currently,
It has big impacts, as you say, downstream, particularly at the wastewater treatment facility when we know currently, we know that 15 to 17% of our total capacity is used by stormwater flowing through our systems. So it's huge.
it's a very big.
It's a big one. So stay tuned. Anything else for Mr. Adams on this?
I'm good.
Are we good? Okay. I need a mover and seconder for the following. That report PS 2602 regarding the tender award RFT 2602, the Eden Pump Station upgrades be received for information. At the Eden Pump Station upgrades be awarded to Froze Excavating Limited in accordance with their tender submission in the amount of $347,592 plus HST. And that the Council of the Corporation and Municipality of Bayham direct staff to bring forward a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Froze Excavating for the construction and installation of the Eden Pump Station upgrades for council consideration. Do I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Chilcott, Councillor Emerson will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you for that, Steve. Backing up to item A, because the bylaw officer is now available. We will have report BL 0326 by Mark Russell regarding the 2026 bylaw enforcement services mid-year report. There he
Good
is.
evening, Mayor and members of council. This overview covers the bylaw enforcement activities from January 1st to June 30th, 2026, including complaint volumes, response times, enforcement activities, and key accomplishments. The department received 79 complaints, down from 97 during the same period in 2025. Staff investigated 78 of the 79 complaints within 5 business days for a 98.7% response rate. Most of the complaints continue to originate in Port Burwell and Vienna. Together, these communities represent 62% of all complaints received. Stratfordville accounted for 20% of the complaints. The top complaint categories were parking, lot maintenance, zoning, and non-bylaw inquiries. These trends identify community concerns and supports for future policy and education efforts. Staff issued 190 parking tickets, and in 2025 issued 198. Most of these activities occurred in the Port Burwell Beach area during peak tourism seasons. Enforcement focuses on safety, accountability, and compliance. The paid parking remained strong, with transactions rose from 3,354 to 3,440. So a marginal increase. Net revenue increased from 27,000 to 35,000, and staff reviewed over 1,040 resident parking permit applications. The key initiatives included council reports, seasonal staff hiring and training, ticket book process revisions, staff supported honk mobile implications, and issued 1,040 resident permits for review. Also, service levels were maintained for both Bayham and Malahide. The first half of 2026 showed improved response times, effective parking operations, and continued revenue growth. At this time, I'm going to return the report back to council for any questions.
All right, well, thank you very much for that, Mark. Does anyone have any questions regarding the report? Okay, I have one then. Can you describe what a non-bylaw issue is? Is that an inquiry into bylaw?
Yeah, it could be in relation to, for instance, it could be like a cat, somebody's complaining about cats, or another issue that we don't have a bylaw for specifically.
All right, thank you for that. I just wondered if it was inquiries coming in, they aren't accompanied by a particular complaint, if they were just somehow logged, and this is where it's captured.
Yeah, so fireworks would be a good example of that too as well. So people complain about fireworks, and we don't have currently a bylaw for it, so that would go in the non-bylaw complaint form.
All right, well, thank you for that. Additional questions from anyone? Looks like you're going to get off easy.
All right, thank you.
Just stand pat for a minute. We need a mover and seconder for the following: that report BL 0326 regarding the 2026 bylaw enforcement service mid-year report be received for information. Moved by Councillor Chilcott, seconded by Deputy Mayor Weisler. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Mark. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Moving on with item C, we have FR 0426 by Harry Bernick, Fire Chief, CMEC, regarding the 2026-2027 Fire Protection Grant. Harry?
Council, thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight. The Fire Protection Grant began in 2024. It was a 3-year grant by the Ontario government. and it was scheduled to be $10 million a year granted to municipal fire departments. Those that applied were given an equal stake, and then it was further broken down to how many stations altogether once you added up all the fire departments. It was then levied out as per station. In the first year of the grant, we received approximately $8,500 per station. Those monies were given towards two projects that I've reported on in the past. The first one was regarding there was originally going to be two doors to separate the bunker gear room in the Port Burwell station and from the apparatus bays. And then also to build a separate bunker cleaning room above in the mezzanine section in Station 2. Unfortunately, the original contractor that said they could do the amount that was given to me backed out after several inquiries. And when a new one came forth, we could only purchase one door with the amount of the monies granted by the Ontario government. Should be noted that there was a caveat on what this money was for. Cancer prevention, which included equipment, supplies, personal protective equipment, and also minor infrastructure renovations. And we, as I said, we applied and we were granted our grant. This year in 25-26, the Ontario government doubled the amount of monies available for fire departments. And it went from $10 million to $20 million. As such, the municipality of Bayham applied and was granted their fair share, which was roughly just under $35,000. They also enhanced what was allowed to the list and included enhanced broadband and internet connectivity and items that could be used, equipment and supplies for lithium-ion battery responses. This year, we again stuck with the cancer prevention theme, as that is one of the leading killers of firefighters on history. The Ontario government spends tens of millions of dollars in claims. Firefighters have a presumptive legislation, which means that a firefighter that has been since 1960, and it can be proved that they have cancer, we no longer have to prove that it was from where he got it from or she got it from. It was presumed it was from the fire service. That is why I've continued to focus on cancer prevention. This year's monies are going to air purifiers in the stations to reduce the amount of cancer-causing particles in the air, and also to assist with regards to our bunker cleaning rooms, to insert them in there when they're taking out their old bunker gear to keep the firefighters safe. And also the remaining monies will go towards balaclavas. Studies have shown that this area, pointing to the neck area, is one of the most susceptible areas on a firefighter's gear, because the bunker coat starts here, the mask starts here, and this area is open. The idea of the balaclavas is once a firefighter has finished in a hot zone and he or she goes to rehab, that they are to take off their balaclava, put it in a container, and put a new one on, not putting the old dirty one back to their skin. I'm well in the process of, I've obtained quotes and well in the process of, should have the air purifiers ordered sometime this week, if not early next week. Next year, for starting for 2026-2027 grant, which has to be the application has to be before the government before September 1st. We have again $20 million, and our share will be roughly $35,000. The intent is for the first roughly 9,000 or 10,000 is to put it towards finishing off the door separation between the bunker gear room and the apparatus bays in Port Burwell, finishing that project completely. The remainder of the money I am requesting that it goes towards a self-contained breathing apparatus extricator. Recently, it has been, I can tell you, it has been an education for myself doing this research. Many of these bunker or these SCBA extractors come from Europe, and they require 3-phase to go into the building. I've spoken with our local contractor, electrical contractor for the municipality, and none of the fire departments have 3-phase. In fact, when I inquired as to the cost towards going to 3-phase, after he finished chuckling, he said minimum 6 digits. And may not be the low 6 digits. That obviously will limit me to my choice of machines that we can use on single phase. However, this is an important project. Studies have shown how firefighters have come from what we call a hot zone and walked into and cleaned and scrubbed and cleaned their SCBAs, and then taken these SCBAs and put them in one of these extractors and watched the water turn black. So no matter how hard you try by hand, these machines are much more prolific in cleaning them. And that is why I'm requesting this. Unfortunately, that will leave us roughly $25,000 to purchase one of these. All studies all quotes I've received is somewhere between $35,000 and $55,000 for one of these, which gives us a shortage of somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000. My plan is to put it into Port Burwell Station in their bunker clearing room. They have the capacity in the drain floor. We would have to also place a separate electrical outlet for this machine from the breaker panel, which we have space for. I have spoken to Coolen about this, and that is why I'm coming before council. Part of the agreement with the Ontario government is that if there is a shortfall, I must come before council and explain that there will be a shortfall, and that this may have to go against the tax levy through either operating or a capital project, as this machine will be lasting more than 10 years. I am also going to be seeking assistance wherever else I can, but I cannot guarantee the assistance from other agencies. And that is why I'm here before council. I'm open for questions.
All right, thank you, Chief, for the presentation. Does anyone have questions? Okay, Councilor Emerson.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a point of clarification, these requests are from grant money you have received, how to allocate it, or that's in addition to? I didn't quite understand your.
It's in addition to, with my understanding, with the 35,000 that's expected to be received, that when the door project is completed, they're down to 25,000. The project is going to be a $40,000 to $50,000 for the extractor. There's a $15,000 to $25,000 shortfall. So that's what he's asking for. Will council commit to the 2027 budget to cover that shortfall, providing no other sources found? Which the question I have is, if for any reason you don't receive the grant, will the project proceed? Is it your intention that you proceed without the grant?
No, Your Worship. Honestly, the grant was a 97% acceptance. And
I
has
understand.
been for the last 2 years.
Right.
I do not see a problem because this well falls within their definition. But again, the government wants to ensure that we are transparent with the council. And if there is going to be a shortage, that we come forth and explain the shortage. And that is what I'm doing before you.
Is that clear, Councilor?
It's clear, but
okay.
We're not asking it this time. We're asking, he's warning us for a budget meeting through Mr.
He's
Mayor.
warning us that he will be short some funds to finish the purchase on that particular project, and he may be coming to council in 2027 for that shortfall. That's what he's trying to tell you.
Your worship, I may also add that the project cannot start till January 1st.
Well, correct. Okay.
Mm.
Counselor Chilcott.
Sorry, are you warning us or are you asking us to commit to that? Because you have to do that with your grant, right? You have to
That is
know that you're
correct.
gonna get that 50 before you can even apply.
That is correct.
So we have to confirm that we will complete the shortfall.
That is what that is correct. And also at the same time, I'm also explaining that I may have other avenues that may lessen the burden to the council and to the ratepayers. But if nothing goes through, then we will be. The news is over half of it's going to be paid by the Ontario government and the Minister of the Solicitor General.
You have a comment, Deputy Mayor?
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. It's hard because the treasurer is not here. So, but my only question would be, is that a tax levy line item or is that coming out of the fire budget? There is no, the fire reserve.
Yes.
And is there funding in that reserve for that?
Can't answer that.
Can't answer that yet. Okay, so that is a question. Okay, no.
Your worship, I have spoken to the treasurer before.
Ah.
If I may add, he does not see a major issue with this amount of money
Okay,
that we will be asking for. Again, it's whether it becomes a capital project, and I may have to adjust some of my capital projects to assist with this. But one way or the other, we will try to limit the impact to the taxpayer.
well, it's not a fire truck, so.
Yet.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Just saying.
If it could only be a fire truck for that, right?
Well,
Wow.
keepers,
Yet.
we're not looking at 100 grand over. We're,
No.
this is pretty reasonable. All right. And how much is the light for? Right.
Well, that's exactly
That's
the
it.
point. When you're
100%.
talking, when you're weighing the cost
Safety.
from an
Yeah.
occupational health and safety perspective. And you're asking people to place themselves in jeopardy to provide this particular service. You want to make sure that they're properly equipped and be as safe as they can. So it's, I know it's money, but at the same time, it's people's lives.
No, I'm just asking what the procedure is and if we're approving this tonight, that's all.
And we are.
We are, apparently.
Your worship, as I may say, that it was a very short window.
Yes.
It started at the end of June and September 1st. And I've been trying to do my research during the time.
All right.
Getting this done.
Appreciate that, Chief. Cindy, please.
Through the mayor to council, as the chief indicated, if for some reason during the budget discussion, this does not get approved, the chief and I have already talked that from within his budget, he would have to find the difference. We're hoping that doesn't happen, but we want to state that.
All right, well, thank you for that. Anything else from members of council? Okay. We have a proposed motion then that reads a report FR 0426 regarding the 2026-2027 fire protection grant provided through the Ministry of the Solicitor General of the Ontario Government grant be received for information, and that council direct staff to apply for the 2026-2027 fire protection grant by the Ontario Fire Marshal's Grant Approval Committee of the Ministry of the Solicitor General. It's interesting because the motion does not tie us into approving that tonight, does it?
Right.
Do you wish?
Wondering, can we
It
amend
pretty
that?
much should. I think it
Mhm.
should. Mark, would you like to add a? Oh.
I'm just, I'm just wondering if this is the appropriate time to approve a budgetary amendment when we're not in a budget meeting.
Correct, but it's also being asked of council to commit to.
Mhm.
Comment?
Your worship, what if, whether the, and that the budget item be referred to the budget for consideration?
That I can live with.
Consideration? I don't think he can get his approval without.
You need a
He
commitment.
needs a commitment.
You need a commitment, though, to do this. Okay.
Your worship, and if I may further add, last year, or sorry, this year's grant, I tried to defer the air purifiers to purchase out of the door. And the answer was no. You are approved for this. you will stick with this.
Yes,
There's very little wiggle room once we get approved.
I can understand that.
Would something as simple as that the equipment described in the report be approved for acquisition?
Through the mayor to council, I would support something like that. As indicated, we will, refer it to, the next year's budget. However, if it doesn't get approved by budget, we will have to look within.
Right,
Agreed.
right. Okay, will that give you enough
That should give me
for the grant
sufficient
application?
for the grant application.
Right.
And as stated, we'll look at, I will sit down with treasurer wholeheartedly and look at how we're gonna work this out.
We might be putting the chief out on a hot dog stand here.
Your worship, I have done worse.
How are you in that canteen? Right?
When the clerk's ready, we can think of all kinds of fundraising schemes for you, Chief.
Worship, there is that time between 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not really doing much that I'd be more than happy to do that.
Hmm,
Oh, dear.
I'm not sure it'd be a lot of potential customers at that time in the morning.
Oh, I'm up then.
You have a customer.
Thank you.
Okay,
You were
you ready?
What if we went with, so it's the original resolution and that the item be referred to budget for consideration. And that if it's not approved in budget deliberations, that the equipment described in the report be approved for acquisition within the fire department's existing budget. That way we give a choice to the next council and this
All right.
council.
Hold on.
Okay,
My apologies through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, could you just repeat that?
Absolutely. Okay, so so the original resolutions out there that we're gonna, that we're gonna apply for the grant and then, and that the item be referred to budget for consideration. And that if not approved, the budget deliberations, that the equipment described in the report be approved for acquisition within the fire department's existing budget.
well, provides a little wiggle room there, but I don't think it's a.
The existing budget is now, the 2027 budget is what we're looking at.
Yes, but either way, it's going into the next budget. From what I'm understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about the proposed fire department budget?
Yeah.
Within the proposed fire department budget.
I don't even know if you need to.
Approved.
With that cap?
I
through
would,
it?
I don't know. if
You think
need
so?
to Have that,
Oh, go
that
for
the
it.
item be referred to the referred to budget for consideration, put 4 in there.
Sorry.
And that the equipment described in the report be approved for acquisition within the. Yeah, just approved for acquisition.
The wording.
It will tell you that it's either coming out of the budget or it's coming out of this fire.
So we're gonna strike that
I
side.
would strike that. I think it gets a little confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
Your worship, the public seeing how the sausage is made.
Right?
Yeah.
100%. This is how we do it.
So, got this.
That's right.
Strike that back to there.
All the way back to there.
No, this part there, get rid of it. We want that. Would you like a mouse?
I really.
You're
Take the wheel, Sarah.
Take the wheel.
Budget for consideration and
Mm.
that the equipment, okay. Where is the wheel?
I love it.
All right, let's look this way.
Yes, sir.
That
Delete.
little song. This is.
What the hell are we doing down here? Look, we don't want that. You know, I used to write this stuff a few years ago. It's been a while since I've been in policy, Alan. Okay. I want to get rid of this. That minority spot.
No.
It up there, get rid of that.
So your mouse is there. So you want to get rid of this?
Yes. Bring it back and that the equipment described in the report be approved for acquisition. Try that. All right, we're gonna read something here for you and try this. Oh, start all over at the beginning? All right. That report FR 0426 regarding the 2026-2027 fire protection grant provided through the Ministry of the Solicitor General of Ontario Government Grants, a little awkward, be received for information, and that council directs staff to apply for the 2026-2027 fire protection grant by the Ontario Fire Marshal's Grant Approval Committee of the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and that the item be referred to budget for consideration, and that the equipment described in the report be approved for acquisition.
That I will move.
All right, the sausage got made. Okay, moved by the Deputy Mayor Weisler. Do I have a seconder for that? Okay, Councillor Emerson will second. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, sir. Moving on with the section 12, Development Services, Sustainability and Conservation, 12.1 Correspondence, and 12.1.1 to receive for information. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Worship.
3 items to receive for information. Item A, notice of withdrawal of minor variance COA 1226 Stevenson at 129 Fay Street, Port Burwell. Item B, notice of meeting regarding minor variance COA 1326 Legend Rubber at 56957 Talbot Line. And item C, notice of public meeting regarding zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 2425 CHR Farms Inc. at, that can't be right. That is not right. It's Heritage. It's Heritage Line. Okay. Notwithstanding the incorrect address,
What? Oh.
the motion would read that items 12.1.1A through C be received for information. Moved by Councillor Chilcott, seconded by Councillor Emerson. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Which brings us to the report of the evening, 12.2. Report DS 2926 by Aaron Bell regarding the interim control bylaw wastewater servicing capacity. I understand that Matt Bond, Director of Planning for Elgin County, will be pinch hitting on this one. So thank you for attending, and floor is yours, Matt.
Thank you very much. Is Mike working okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I do have a presentation. Do we have it loaded by any chance? If not, it's okay if we don't.
We don't.
Nope, that's fine. I'll go through it. This evening's presentation through the mayor to the rest of council is all about the final interim control bylaw. Tonight's recommendation is to receive the interim control bylaw, wastewater surfacing capacity, and to enact the interim control bylaw for lands serviced or proposed to be serviced by the Bayham wastewater treatment plant. Settlement areas that are affected are the hamlet of Eden, the village of Stratfordville, the village of Vienna, and the village of Port Burwell. This process is not brand new. It has been going on since 2022. Where CJDL was retained to do an update on sanitary capacity, and brings us up to today's date. On July last month, council did direct staff to proceed with a wastewater treatment study and a draft ICBL. And today we're going over those numbers and making the following recommendation. So, the CJDL technical memo, which is dated August 12th, 2026, it identified 2 separate numbers. So it identified the 5-year average flow, the current being 77.8%, and at full build out, which includes all of today's active applications, is 87.4%. They also looked at just 2026 flow data. Now keep in mind, this is a bit of a wetter year, but this might be reality for us moving forward. And with this year's flow data, the current at build out, or the current estimated capacity is sitting at 85.2, with full build out of 96.6%. And keep in mind, the Ministry of Environment, the capacity planning threshold is 90%. So now is the time to move forward with a study like this and interim control bylaw. So here are some things an interim control bylaw will cover and some things that it won't cover. So what it will do is it will pause things like official plan amendments, new zoning bylaw amendments, new draft plans of subdivision or condos, consent applications resulting in new lot creation, site plan control applications, and building permits generating new flow. These are within those serviced areas. Not affected, applications that are already deemed complete, lands with provisional or draft or final approval, things like decks, accessory structures, things that don't add bedrooms, units, or floor area, permits that have been received before the passing of the ICBL and where no wastewater treatment capacity is needed, and development generating no added wastewater flow. There is a list of development applications that we have that have been received and deemed complete and or are provisionally approved. It's kind of split between things like consent applications, subdivisions, site plans, zoning bylaws, and official plan amendments. That list is about 20 applications. The way those ICBL is written is if those would be exempt from the ICBL, they would be able to continue to move forward. So that is a healthy amount of a development application that you will see during the course of the ICBL and during this pause. So it's not that nothing will happen. There is still quite a few things that can happen. It's just that there'll be a pause for the new applications. Now, next steps, if this is approved tonight, there will be a notice of passing. Next will come the wastewater treatment utilization and optimization study. So the ICBL puts development on hold so that we can go away and do that study. While that is happening, we're going to be developing a servicing allocation policy, and that allocation policy will be brought back to council so that if there is any capacity in the system, you'll figure out how you want to use it in the future. And then lastly, expansion pathway. So that includes a Schedule C municipal class EA. We estimate, and the engineers estimate that'll be 1 to 1.5 years, plus the design, plus provincial approval, and then construction. So there's a little bit of time to get all of that done, but just keep assured there is quite a bit of development in the hopper that we can still proceed with. And of course, everything outside of your serviced areas can still proceed as well. The bottom line is that the Bayham wastewater treatment facility is approaching 90% MECP planning threshold. Active applications alone could push that committed capacity anywhere between 87 to 97%, depending on the methodology. The ICBL will pause new development in the affected settlement areas while the study, the wastewater treatment study is being completed. This will protect the system integrity and council's ability to make evidence-based decisions on your growth. We recommend that the bylaw tonight is enacted, that the ICBL is approved. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
All right, thank you very much, Matt, for that presentation. I think there are a few questions, and so we'll open it up. Councilor Emerson.
I have one through you, Mr. Mayor, to Matt. We've had allocations on approved subdivisions, but can we tie them to consent application? Can we time if no development occurs and we can reallocate them?
Thank you.
What's that?
Expiry date.
Yeah, expiry date on consent application, like tied to a consent application expiry date?
Through the mayor to council, through your servicing allocation policy, as part of that process, we can start to implement a use it or lose it type policy.
Yeah.
So if they don't use it during a certain time, and there are some restrictions to that as to when the application was formally approved. So we would have to go back and make sure that we're not breaking any planning rules in that respect. But yes, in some cases we can tie a new lapsing date to some of these developments.
Thank you, Matt, for that. Just as a follow-up, I think that there is probably some interest on that. It's not to discourage development, but it's a case of something that may have been allocated years ago and has never been exercised. It's unfair that allocation sits.
Yeah, with a limited resource.
That's the point. So, but I think there are some challenges out there, as you say, that if it doesn't exist in our policy now, are these things that are already in the hopper grandfathered, or can something be done? But I would be interested in seeing an analysis on that.
Yeah, and absolutely through the mayor to council, that will definitely be part of the process and developing the servicing allocation policy. And with me tonight, I did bring Lindsay King, the county's policy planner. She'll be the one helping with that development. And as part of our research, we do plan on seeking some legal help in that respect as well, to do that research and to make sure that we're following the correct process in doing that.
Thank you for that.
And
Additional?
there is an additional question for you, Mr. Mayor, and the answer is probably no, but if it turns out that expansion of the capacity is like on a longer term time window and the lot size is big enough to hold a proper septic tank and weeping bed, is there a way to accommodate some building unserviced areas if the lot size is sufficient for
Yeah, I appreciate exactly what you're getting at, and I know what you are. I think what the councilor's asking that, although it's prescribed on these particular servicing areas within the bylaw, that development would be halted for 1 year. That's all it is, 1 year. But if an opportunity come along and someone could offer an alternative sanitary servicing option, would it be allowed? I assume not within that particular servicing envelope.
Yep.
Just,
The
I
mayor,
just would
the mayor
like
is
to
correct.
have
The
it.
way the ICBL is worded today is that wouldn't be allowed. Also, I should point out, council's brand new official plan also has policies in it that wouldn't allow that as well. So should an applicant want to pursue something like that, it would require an official plan amendment as well. Like it would get complicated to do it. And to be honest, it may not be something that staff would support. Your serviced areas are the areas that can have the smallest lots in the municipality. It's where we want to see development happen in more of a condensed, compact type form. It'd be hard to support larger lots in these areas just because it's the kind of place that we can see that different kind of development. So,
well, thank you for that. I just want a clarification before someone asks me that question.
sure, yeah,
I think the piece that goes with it again is just to remind people that this interim control bylaw is a 12-month instrument. And it can be extended for another 12 months, but that's it. And once it's gone, we can't do it again for 3 years, or it can't be reintroduced.
Yeah,
That's the point.
the mayor's correct. There would be different planning tools that you could use to restrict development after that 2-year time. But the ICBL, 1 year in place, 1 year extension, and then that's it for 3 years. So.
Okay. I realize, it might imply that we're not doing anything again in Bayham. That's not true. This is just an opportunity to breathe, take stock of where we are, what we have available, so that we can move forward with better information. If I were to characterize. Anyone else? Yeah. No, that was a question that was asked externally before, and I'm certainly glad this was addressed tonight. It needs to be. Anything else? Are we ready for the question then? All right. We have a proposed motion before. It says that report DS 2926 regarding the interim control bylaw wastewater servicing capacity be received. And that bylaw number 2026-047 being an interim control bylaw respecting lands within the hamlet of Eden, the village of Stratfordville, the village of Vienna, and the village of Port Burwell that are serviced or proposed to be serviced by the Bayham wastewater treatment plant be considered under the bylaw section of this agenda. Do we have a mover and seconder for this? Councillor Emerson will move. Councillor Chilcott will second. Calling the question then, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we've got it. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. It's been a late night, man. It's already pre-populated here. Somebody pre-populated that particular motion.
Oh, yes.
But I got the mover correct.
Yeah.
No, I did not. It was Councillor Emerson.
Emerson and Chilcott.
Councillor Chilcott. Okay, thank you again. Which brings us, does anyone need a break? We've been at it for a little bit, for about almost 3 hours. A little bit. Probably have 20 minutes or whatever more. You want to take a 5-10 minute break?
Up to you. I think I can make it.
Okay, all right then. Thank you. Moving on then with report DR 0626 by Steve Adams, Manager Public Works regarding the and Drainage Superintendent regarding the 2026 second quarter drainage report. Steve, please.
Thank you, your worship. Move away from some capacity stuff. Back to the municipal drain. So second quarter, moving in, more working on new drains, working with the engineers. We didn't have a lot of maintenance. However, I'll point out, so the Pine Street drain that goes along with the development. I'm working with the engineers. We're getting really close on, and the subdivision developers on finalizing that report to bring back to council probably in the early fall. Then moving down is the Casino Road drain. Just wanted to point out, because it kind of missed this. We did have a meeting, an on-site meeting with the engineer on this. And it was determined in the meeting that the two landowners involved want to go into a mutual drain agreement.
Oh,
that was kind of talked about. That was something the engineer helped, push along, that in a case like that, it's a lot more affordable for both landowners. So I told both landowners are going to help them with the engineer or the contractors to just arrange some prices and make sure that they're on track. They just want a little trust that the costs are going to be.
yeah. Steve, regarding that, I would assume there would have to be some formalized agreement between the two landowners who's responsible for what
That's
proportionate costs and things like that.
correct. Absolutely. We had a brief conversation of it. They're both going to reach out to their own legal teams.
Right.
And they will come up with something. I'll bring it back that, to council that's been registered. It will be registered on title for
Right.
landowners. They'll have a little bit of an agreement, and then I'll just bring back that this case is closed, hopefully. And then
Okay.
it's not, we don't need it on our list if we don't have to. And it's the affordability is a lot better if they go private. So
Okay.
just moving on with drain maintenance. Really the Smith drain, with the railway, this is the large dollar value I brought forward earlier. However, when it come time to wanted to get moving on it, the rail company did say they want an engineer drawing. So now I've utilized the municipal engineer. They are working on just an engineer drawing for under the rail bed. And then I'll provide that and we'll move along with that. Other than a few small new ones have popped up, the Neville drain, Pollock drain, and the Kerr drain, where some small repairs were done with them. Other than that, we're pretty good right now. We got a couple little ones, and we'll continue to work on these larger development drains, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much for that report, Steve. Does anyone have any questions regarding either maintenance or new drains? Okay. Then we have a motion that reads that report DR 0626 regarding the 2026 second quarter drainage report be received for information. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Chilcott, Deputy Mayor Weiser. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Steve. Brings us down to section 13, Finance and Administration, 13.1 Correspondence, and 13.11 to receive for information. Few items. Item A, the Algon County Council regarding Committee of the Whole minutes for June the 23rd, 2026. Item B, the Algon County Council regarding, the regular council meeting minutes for June the 23rd, 2026. Item C, Algon County Council highlights for July the 14th, 2026. Item D, Township of McGarry regarding the OPP funding models in Northern Ontario. Item E, Village of Merrickville, Wolford regarding supports for the OPP traffic calming and speeding mitigation techniques. Item F, City of Belleville regarding the Alto High Speed Rail municipal interest. G, Municipality of Trent Lakes regarding provincial action on accuracy of municipal voters list. Item H, Town of Whitby regarding the review of the Ontario Land Tribunal enhancing deference to municipal planning decisions. And item I, the Eastern Lake Erie Regional Conservation Authority, the Transition Project Executive appointed.
Hmm.
I'm not even sure how to pronounce the acronym.
Right.
Okay, does anyone have any piece of correspondence here they wish to highlight, bring attention to, ask questions of? Councilor Emerson?
Number E. Since speeding's an issue, we should support that letter.
Sure.
Mhm.
All's in favor of that? That'd be good. Just taking a straw vote at the moment. Anyone else?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, along that line, I found item D an interesting, but I'm not sure how relevant it is here, but I do find the funding models is something that we should revisit. But I just found it an interesting read. I'll leave it with council whether they think they can.
I understand what you're getting at.
Yeah.
They're talking about funding between organized and unorganized territories and the different ways that they are allocating or
Yeah.
where those sources of revenue are coming to pay for that. It's fascinating, but you're right. I'm not sure.
It's not really relevant, but the funding structure.
It's the structure.
It's the
Absolutely.
structure, and we've had this conversation numerous times, but yeah, I just, again, this is why I like this section, because it really does capture that we're not the only ones,
No.
and it looks different everywhere. However, there are some similarities and inconsistencies that would be nice to address.
Mhm. Anyone else? Clerk, have you got that captured?
So your worship, just for clarification, we're supporting item E.
Mhm.
However, it was just an anecdote that item D was interesting.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's,
We don't need to support it.
okay, so that, then, your worship, that proposed resolution be that item 13.1.1 A through I be received for information and that item E be supported.
Okay. Mover and seconder for that? Counselor Emerson will move, Counselor Chilcott will second. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Right, this to 13.1.2. Tiny Tots Cooperative Nursery School regarding a request for support letter. Does anyone from staff wish to speak to this?
I hate to put the CAO on the spot, but she's more informed with this group.
Yeah, okay. Peg, you're it.
Okay, thanks, through the mayor to council. I guess my comments would be, Tiny Tots provides early on child
Yes.
and family center programming in Stratfordville, Vienna, and Port Burwell. Early on connects families and children and provides a variety of activities and links families with community and professional supports. The programs are fully funded by the province of Ontario through St. Thomas Social Services.
Right.
So I guess overall, I say it's a great program, but it's up to you if you want to support Tiny Tots, who's currently doing the programming right now.
So essentially, just to summarize, we're looking for a letter of support from council for their funding model or for the opportunity to hold these here in our community.
Correct, the mayor to council. They're looking for your support so they can continue on to provide these programs to the community. If it isn't them, then obviously it would be another organization, but they're
Right.
kind of reaching out and saying, we're in your community now. Hopefully they're doing, well, I would assume that they're doing a great job. They've been around for quite a while. If you
Yes.
look, I think it's all the way back to 2021. And then they came to Eastern Elgin in 2026, but they have been actively involved. I do know that from past experience. They've been around for a while running these programs.
Mm.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, no, I see it now. I didn't pay attention to the ad where it was from, where they're out of. What's council's pleasure on that?
I don't see through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't see an issue with a request for a support letter.
Okay,
I agree.
there you are.
Mhm.
Counselor Emerson, would you support a motion that a support letter be supplied to Tiny Tots Cooperative Nursery School?
Yes, it would.
Okay, well, let's move it by Counselor Emerson. And alternating arms down there, we'll take Counselor Chilcott. Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
All good.
All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 13.2, reports to council. We have CL 0726 by Alan Bushel, clerk, regarding the 2026 municipal election, establishment of a joint compliance audit committee. Alan, please.
Thank you, Worship. I'll get right to the point on this one. The local clerks reviewed applications for the committee. The municipality has already approved the joint process. The reason why we're not going in closed tonight is because we are the last ones on board to support this group of people. I would strongly endorse this group of people to be our compliance committee.
I have a really smart question, but I don't think maybe I should ask. Any questions from members of council? Okay. We have a motion that reads a report titled 2026 Municipal Election Appointment of Elgin Election Joint Compliance Audit Committee members be received for information, and that council endorses the appointment of Christine Scrimmager, Andrew Wright, Marty Gobin, Ophelia Chang, and Chantal Therian to sit on the Elgin Election Joint Compliance Audit Committee for 2026-2030. We have a mover and seconder. Councillor Chilcott will move. Deputy Mayor Weiser will second. All in favor? That's carried. Now that that's done with, I will ask you what would happen if we didn't.
That is a great question, Your Worship.
Yeah.
I believe if we selected from this group and we achieved 3 people, we would be legally compliant. However, it would be not in the spirit of our previous bylaw.
I understand that. Yes. Thank you. Just wanted to put it out there. Item B, CL 0826 by Alan Bushel, clerk, regarding the 2026 municipal assistance requests, auxiliary intake. Alan, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Bayham, is it? Make sure that I have the name correct because it was on a couple different documents, different ways. The Bayham Historical Society is doing the Light Up the Park event. They are requesting that they use municipal facilities as well as a hydro connection and 2 garbage cans. I don't believe this is a contentious application. However, in the future, it has been a recommendation of the clerk that when we review this policy, that reoccurring events not asking for money, that we maybe set some form of auto renew.
And we look forward to that policy coming forward, and then we can debate it at that time. In the meantime, the issue before us is if we're willing to entertain and authorize Light Up the Park in November. Deputy Mayor. And you're saying by lights, right?
What's that? My apologies.
Steady light.
I will move it. Let me just do it that way. I will not.
I certainly accept that endorsement. What about you, Councilor?
I'll second.
Okay.
To the.
Well, I'll read the emotion.
Now that they're verbal.
Took me a minute. Oh, boy.
Okay, that report CL 0826 regarding the 2026 municipal assistance request, auxiliary intake be received for information, and that all facility use be approved, subject to the discretion of the manager of public works, drainage supervisor, requesting the provision of a liability insurance certificate in a minimum amount of $2 million, naming the municipality of Bayham as additional insured, and that all material requests be approved with a deposit of $10 per item to be provided to the municipality prior to the event. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Gotta have a little levity once in a
Right.
while. Which brings us to section 14. We're almost there, guys. The bylaws. First bylaw number 2026-046, being a bylaw to appoint members of the Elgin Election Joint Compliance Audit Committee for the 2026 municipal election. And bylaw number 2026-047, being a bylaw to establish an interim control provisions for settlement areas. So the motion would read that bylaw number 2026-046 and 2026-047 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. I will ask for a mover and seconder. Councillor Chilcott will move. Deputy Mayor Weiser will second. Before I call the question, are there any questions or concerns? Since you've already approved the reports, I would assume not. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The confirming bylaw. So the motion would read that bylaw number 2026-048 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Councillor Emerson will move. Deputy Mayor Weiser will second. All in favor? Carried. Which brings us to the adjournment motion that the council meeting be adjourned at 8:56 p.m. I didn't even call for a mover and seconder. Hands are already up. And we have Councillor Chilcott, Deputy Mayor Weisler, seconding. All in favor? Carried. We are adjourned. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you